Yeah. Good evening and welcome to our Wednesday, September 12th work session. Mr. Millis is sitting in for Dr. Bork as Dr. Bork couldn't be here tonight. We always start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if Mrs. Schlichte and her students would like to stand and lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The board vision states that Richmond Community Schools will be a high-performing, well-respected public school system that will make the community proud. Excellent student achievement, graduation rate, and attendance will be our hallmarks. On to public commentary. The Board of Trustees recognizes the value of public comment on educational matters. We believe in allowing members of the public to express themselves and want to ensure the public feels welcome and that the concerns are answered in a timely, efficient manner. So we've set aside two 30-minute periods for public comment during each board meeting. The maximum time for individual speakers is 5 minutes per person. The board expects personal decorum and factual information from the speaker. If the public comment reflects inaccurate or incomplete information, the superintendent may clarify the facts after the public comment section. If more investigation is needed, the comment will be clarified at the next meeting. Public comments requiring no research, investigation, or review may receive response from the board and/or administration as appropriate. Do we have anyone signed up to speak?
We do. Yasmin Lewis.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yasmin Lewis, and I am Richmond High School Student Body President. One of my goals for this year, for the year 2012-2013, was to make the year as fun and full of excitement as possible. But to explain to you all the components of that would take a whole nother meeting. So right now, I'd like to introduce our homecoming committee chairs, Alexia Sheets and Erica Bischoff.
Hi, my name is Alexis, as Yasmin said, and I am the co-chair of this year's homecoming committee. We would like to invite the community to come and observe next week's homecoming parade that is on next Wednesday, September 19th. Begins at 6:30 p.m. Parade route starts at the municipal pool parking lot and continues to the student parking lot in front of Tiernan Center. And we would also like to invite school board members to be a part of the parade. If they are interested in riding in any of the floats, we ask that you please contact our advisor, Ms. Chris Lepresti. We encourage all community members to wear their old athletic jackets, music jackets, and so on to show their support for Richmond High School.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erica Bischoff, and I'm chair of the homecoming committee. After the parade, we're having a community-wide event outside of Tiernan Center where there will be a DJ and the opportunity to have free food such as hot dogs, popcorn, cookies, and drinks to the first 1,000 people that come. And we'd really like the whole community to come out for that and just celebrate RHS.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
No, it's so exciting to see, and I'm glad you want to have fun, Yasmin. I think that's a good thing to do, so thank you. Yeah.
Any other
Can you
speakers?
fit in your letter jacket?
I can't.
I have my
Mrs.
senior
Stewart,
cords.
is there anyone else?
No, there's no one else. I'm listening to the leather jacket conversation.
How about the senior cords? Well, does anybody know what those are?
Yes.
I saw a picture.
Mrs. Wolpe would have one.
Okay, on to snapshots of success.
This evening, we have some representatives from Cruising Into Your Future, and this is a part of our early college program. and it begins at the intermediate level. And we have two different bodies that participate in early college, those identified for early college and those in cruising into the future. We have those students here this evening, and I'd like Dr. Schlittke to come forward and recognize students and families and also explain a little bit about why they're here.
I'm Jackie Schlichte, and I am the early college coordinator, but I also have the privilege of serving on Communities and Schools Executive Board of Directors. And so I get the opportunity to candidate students for both the early college and cruising into the future programs. These kids are very bright, and they've gone through a rigorous process to be here. We consider early college preparatory academy and the cruising into the future programs kind of like sister programs. You know how twins serve a similar purpose, but they look different and act different sometimes. That's the way that this is. Students in both the early college preparatory academy and those that are in the cruising into the future program that maintain high academics and also keep a leadership that is positive in the community, they will have the opportunity to transition into the Richmond High School early college program. So they're here with a joint call to higher expectations, and it's a very exciting thing. I have the privilege to present two people who are going to introduce our new cruisers. We have Chris Bennett from Communities and Schools, who is the program director and the key touch point person for cruising into the future. And we have Bridget Hazelbaker. Everybody knows Bridget. She's the community partnership engagement coordinator, and I believe I see her at almost every event that I attend. And she is the one who is aligning career coaches to work with the students in developing the college presence and the attributes that will be needed when they transition into the early college program. So, Chris and Bridget.
Welcome.
Okay. Well, first off, I'd like to thank everyone for having us here tonight. As Jackie said, my name is Chris Bennett. I'm the program director with Communities and Schools. And we're here tonight to celebrate the cohorts of the Cruising Into Your Future students. And what I'd like to do now is, after Bridget speaks, we'll have the students line up, come introduce themselves to you, and tell you a little bit about themselves, where they're going to school, maybe what they'd like to do when they get out of school. So if we could have the students line up.
You just shocked them all, Chris.
They were prepared. We warned them. So if I could have the students come line up, and we'll introduce yourselves. It's real simple. Just your name, where you're going to school.
Hi, my name is Ashton Harvey, and I go to Hibbard Middle School. After I get out of school, I like drawing, doing basketball or soccer, and like practices and stuff after school.
Thank you.
I really like the Hibbard building a lot.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Courtney Clever, and I also go to Hibbard. Considering that I play the cello and the piano, when I get out of school, I would probably love to be like a musician or something like that.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. You need to help them.
Wait to hear her.
My name is Elizabeth Lawson, and I go to test, and I like to be a teacher when I get out of school.
Nice.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Lindbergh, and I go to Denison. When I'm out of school, I probably would like to be an artist or a doctor or nurse.
High aspirations, Mr. Bennett.
Hi, my name is Jalen Rader. I go to Dennis, and when I get out of school, I kind of like to be a musician.
Hi, my name's Isaiah Webster. When I go to Test Intermediate School, and when I get out of school, I want to play football.
Hi, my name is Trevin King. I go to Test Intermediate School, and I'm not exactly sure what I'd like to grow up, but I'd like it to have something to do with drawing.
Awesome. Yeah, creativity abounds. Hi.
My name is Greg Seaman. I go to Test Middle School, and I'm not sure what I want to be when I get out of school.
Thank you.
Very poised young people.
Yes.
So these are our wonderful, some of our cruisers, just a small fraction of them, and part of what I'm looking at is recruiting mentors, recruiting college career coaches. We have mentors who do that one-to-one mentoring with our students, and then we also have college career coaches for not just cruisers in 5th and 6th grade, but also 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So we're looking at different sort of partnerships that we can form to get people to come and talk about college and career with these students. Maybe we can get an artist at Earlham. I don't know. Maybe we get a musician from different schools to see if they can help us. And as a shameless plug, we have some new mentor orientations coming up soon. Monday, September 24th from 12 to 1, and that'll be here at the Administration Building. We also have a second training Thursday, September 27th from 5:30 to 6:30, and then Friday, September 28th from 8 to 9. So we have it throughout different types of the day to hopefully adjust people's schedules so they can come and learn more about the Richmond Community Schools mentoring program, and then we'll get you matched with some students here in our district.
Okay, and then we're in our 4th year of the Cruising into Our Future program, and it's a college and career focused. The students are selected for this program. They have showed the aptitude and desire to pursue post-secondary education. The students will be in weekly discussion groups. They'll have the career coach, as Bridget was talking about, who is going to be a community volunteer that will lead them in those college-style discussions. The goal of this career coach will follow their cruising group through to their graduation. And while during their intermediate school, these groups will attend a series of events that are designed to increase their interest in college. And then in high school, they will again participate in a variety of college and career-oriented activities. And then on behalf of Communities and Schools, I'd like to thank the partners of this outstanding program, Richmond Community Schools, of course, Bridget, 21st Century Scholars, and then Jackie Schlichty, the Early College Coordinator. And she's helped conduct all of the interviews to select the students for the programs. And then I'd just like to thank you for the recognition of all the cohorts and the students that we brought in tonight.
Thank you.
Do you have any other further questions?
I just got to say, you guys did better in front of the microphone than many of the adults that come here to our microphone, so good job.
Very poised.
Yes.
Linda has.
I just want to say to all of the adults that are here with these students, wow, they did a fantastic job, and you all must be very proud, and thank you for your hard work with your children or whoever it is that you might have here. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Okay, now we're on to reports and discussion topics.
We'll wait just a second to allow students and families to
Go eat all those cookies.
finish off the cookies. We'll move forward on the agenda, and next we have in our reports and discussion topics the Richmond Online Academy. Graduation Academy. We have been working since the beginning of school on a concept that will extend our alternative programming at Richmond High School. The overall profile will, we believe, add one more feature to meeting the needs of some students in our school population. Mrs. Ray Wolpe is here this evening to go over that, and we'll turn over to Ray.
Thank you very much, Mr. Millis. Thank you, Board and Administration, for inviting me here tonight to share with you an exciting new addition to Richmond High School's alternative education program, and we're calling it the Richmond Online Graduation Academy. And I think, as we all know, that the online education movement across the nation has become almost the norm, not only in colleges, but in businesses and in high schools, as far as professional development, as far as promoting education. It's 21st century education. And so Richmond High School is taking our first step to provide more options and choices for our students to earn their high school diploma through our online graduation academy. This academy allows students to graduate from Richmond High School with a Richmond High School diploma. They may work at home. We are also going to have available Monday through Thursday from 4 to 7 p.m. We will have a math teacher, an English teacher, and an academic coach that would be available if students would choose to come to the 4 to 7 session. Or they could do their work at home. Students may come to any of the sessions that we have at the high school in order to get help. They can call in to one of the teachers if they need to get help online. They can email a teacher if they want to have a conversation. So we've tried to think of all of the different avenues for the student to receive help as they are progressing through their online courses. Our teachers are also able to progress monitor what that student is doing. According to our alternative education grant, students must be working at least 2 hours per day, 10 hours per week. So that will be monitored by the teachers that are in charge of the program. They will also be monitoring student progress. Students will be enrolled in 2 classes at a time. As soon as they finish one course, we will then enroll them in the next course, so they're not overwhelmed and they can focus a little more narrowly on what it is they need to accomplish and then feel that success. I finished this course, now I can add another course. Our goal is to have them stay on track to graduate with their class. That's it in a nutshell. I want to know what questions you might have that I could answer. Again, we're going to start. We did interviews. We talked to the teachers. We will have our teachers set up tomorrow, and our orientation is tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We'll get the students their usernames, their passwords. We'll get them started. And just a little caveat story. This was so exciting. This week, we had 5 18-year-old seniors who went to their counselors and just said, I can't do it. 8:15 to 3:30, I can't get it done for a myriad of reasons, all right? Work, I need to work because my family needs money, I'm not able to get to school. And the counselor said, whoa, wait a minute. You need to go down and talk to Mrs. Wolpe. So they brought those 5 students down. We talked, and they didn't all come at once. But we sat and talked to them. We said, hey, we've got a new option for you. I am happy to say all 5 students were ecstatic that they could continue their education, do what they need to do with those obstacles that they have out there. Some of them are living on their own at 18 years old. And so it just made me feel like how appreciative I am of our administration and their cooperation. I know Rob Tidrow, Dr. Boroff, Mark, Kathy, everyone's been talking about Richmond High School having another kind of option for our students. And this is our first step. And I see the potential just, it's enormous, the potential that this could have. So I'll entertain questions.
Will this be open to everyone in the county, everyone in the
Yes,
state?
yes, it's open to anyone. They just have to enroll at Richmond High School.
With the time frame that it is?
That's correct.
Aaron?
Pat, first.
Well, you started, I'd like to know, and I'd like the public to know, the kind of student you're thinking about for this particular academy. Because you mentioned the 18-year-old who was pretty close.
Right.
What other kinds of students is this most appropriate for?
All right, and we have other students. In fact, I have about 19 students. 9 of the students, and I've gotten a yes from, let's see, 5 of them that are going to come back, had withdrawn from school to either homeschool or to go to an online school. And when I called and said, hey, Richmond High School is going to offer this option, the parent was excited, the student was excited. One little girl that I've been working with since she was in 9th grade, she doesn't like to be around a lot of people. And I talked to her for an hour, and she withdrew. She said, I just can't stand all the people. I can't do it, Mrs. Wolpe. And, of course, she was the first one I called. And I actually saw her the other day when I was driving home, stop my car and said, now, you're going to come, right? And she said, oh, yeah. So she was...
So do they have to be seniors?
No, they do not have to be seniors. They
Well,
not-
I noticed the classes were 9th grade algebra and so
Exactly.
on and so forth.
Math, science, social studies, and English, and it starts with 9th grade courses, goes all the way through 12th grade courses.
So can they do an entire diploma online?
Not at 2 hours.
I mean, that would...
That is something that we are... That's our next
Progressively,
step.
yeah.
That's what we're taking small steps. We didn't want to start out huge. We wanted to start out small so that we could be successful and then build upon that. So that is something that we will be looking at. I know Ben Davis High School has that option.
They do. And 400 students in it as
Yes,
well.
yes.
That program doesn't have all the requirements in it yet.
Correct.
Yet.
Uh-huh.
With
Aaron?
recouping some of the students, hopefully, that we have lost over the last year or two, who can take advantage of this, what type of standings will they have? I mean, are they considered a full-time student? Will they still have the right of extracurricular participations
Absolutely.
or anything?
Yes. In fact, we have one student that was particularly interested in making sure that they were in 4 classes because this student was interested in trying out for a winter sport. So we will accommodate those needs.
Linda, and they basically have to meet the criteria of the alternative school grant.
Yes, that's correct.
And then, will this eventually be open to all ages, since in the alternative grant, there is no age limit?
Right, right. And again, that is something, and all of these are great questions, and they are questions that are going to help us build this online option.
You're talking about older than 18.
We would,
Recently.
you know what, and
recent dropouts.
and that's exactly what I thought about. You know, our 5th or 6th year graduates, or maybe even a 19-year-old, because I am so passionate about the fact that when we have an educated community, when we have an educated workforce in the Richmond area, it is a direct correlation to economic development.
Right.
So when we can put all of those pieces together, and we are able to provide have them earn high school diplomas, the beneficiaries are going to be everybody that lives in Wayne County. So again, I see this, we're starting small. The potential is unbelievable for what we've started.
Linda, you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah. So there will be people to assist
Yes.
the students if and when they need help
Right.
in a particular area.
Right. Every Monday, on Monday through Thursday, we will have 2 teachers and an academic coach available from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You can come in, you can call in, you can email. It's their choice.
And so this particular curriculum is the same curriculum that the students would get if they were attending Richmond High School.
It's on a program, a computer program called GradPoint. There are many computer programs out there. GradPoint is very rigorous. It has all of the Indiana standards, and I can attest to that because I sat with a senior and we did government, and I thought I knew a lot of government, and it was not easy. So the rigor is there, and along with that, Linda, just to let you know, as they have modules that they go through, students must get an 80% to go to the next module. Now, the students will have to come in to Richmond High School to take their midterm and their final exam. This is very typical of other online programs. They must receive a minimum of a 70% on their midterm and their final in order to get credit for that class. So that maintains the rigor of the class.
So is that comparable to the ECAs, the intercourse assessment?
Yes.
That is okay.
Right.
Most of the courses, and I've sat too, and they, except for the English, I don't know if I know they've redone that, but they're difficult, extremely difficult.
Yes. And as Kathy just reminded me, students will still be required to take the graduation exam in Algebra and English 10.
The ECAs.
The ECAs.
Aaron?
Those examinations, those midterms, when they have to come to the building and do that, will that be in a greater setting with other students, or will it be done privately? You illustrated one of the key points why we lose some kids, because they don't like to be in the bigger picture. Okay, it's overwhelming for them. If they're doing so well with this online, I'm hoping that for whatever reason, protect them with their same concerns, that when they have to come and do that midterm, that also it would be something rather secluded for them as well.
Absolutely. We actually have the location of, and it's going to be done in our credit recovery lab. We actually have within that area 30 computers in the library. We have another computer lab that's probably 10 steps from our credit recovery lab, and with 3 teachers, and they're taking their final. There's a 3-hour window that is very easily scheduled. We could move one teacher to each of the 3 areas. One of the teachers could go with an individual student into one of the other areas.
Well, they'll all likely finish at different times.
Right, yeah, and they're probably not all going to finish at the same time. So,
yeah, I'm asking a Bob Coddington question.
Okay.
So do they count for ADM?
Yes.
And, no, the question then goes on, how quickly can you get them here before Friday? I'm very serious about that.
Orientation is tomorrow.
Right.
Okay, well,
orientation
all those
is
19,
tomorrow.
we expect them here by Friday at least.
We expect them here tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Because
gotcha.
we're starting tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Okay. But I mean, in all seriousness,
Yes.
for those of us who are concerned about the big picture budget, we want and need to make sure, and the reason I'm excited about this is we need every alternative option we can find to make sure we meet the current needs and get that ADM
Right.
count where we need it to be.
We would have lost those five students because, like I said, they're 18. You can't force them to stay in school when they're 18. And so because of this option, we have those students.
And we invite people from outside of Richmond to partake of such excellent rigor, relationships, and whatever the other relevance.
Right.
No, I mean, seriously, anybody can come.
Yes, anyone is welcome.
Aaron. Linda and then Aaron.
Linda, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that this is what we should be doing in public education, meeting the needs of students.
Yes.
And to me, this is truly a program that is meeting the needs of our students.
Thank you. I think, then, like I said, the potential is just unbelievable, what we can do with this.
Aaron?
This is really exciting, and you're right, the potential is overwhelming in regards to the impact they can have. My question would be, has there been any conversation possibly with Wayne County Probation or anything in regards to some of those students that we have lost who may be right now on probation to see if we can identify them and have that an option part of any type of probation that somebody under the age of 18 is on?
That's a wonderful idea.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm taking a note right now, and we are in communication with the probation department. We try to partner with them. They communicate with us a lot, so absolutely, that is something that we will check into right away.
Thank you. Also, you can work with the GED program, which we did. People who may have dropped out with just a few credits to go.
Right,
and,
right.
And we always just brought them back in, re-enrolled to the alternative program. But this program might work better for
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
For
And there again, the people in our community have a high school diploma. And as I tell the kids a lot of times, you know what? When I believe it was the Honda plant opened in Greensburg, and they had 100 jobs, and there were 5,000 applications, and I look at the kids when they want to drop out of school, and I go, now what do you think that person that was going to interview did first? What did they look for first? And the students will tell you, well, probably their education. I said, yeah, you're right. I said, you want to be in that pile that they keep and consider for an interview.
And I hope this expands to adults because we lost some funding for adult credit, and there are some adults out there that are very close to diplomas. So it needs to grow.
All right. We'll make sure we do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Before I move on, I would just like to ask board members if, when you want to ask a question or speak, if you could kind of signal me, because like that end can't see this end, and so we're cutting each other off. So if you could just let me call on you, that would be nice. Thank you. On to action items.
All the action items this evening involve budget pieces that Mr. Carlington has worked on. Before he begins going through those, I want to give some recognition to Mr. Coddington this year. Building the budget often involves many different pieces, and because of our master planning and the changes that we made, Mr. Coddington lost a lot of the history, and I've been in his shoes a little bit before, where when you have that history at a building level, then it makes it easier to build that budget for the next year. The reality was we had most of our buildings change their complexion, so he had to sort of reinvent each building, what budget items would go there. And if he wants to comment on that, he can. But I just want to give him a compliment in putting the budget together this year. I know he's worked hard on that.
Thank you. I don't choose to comment.
You do that privately.
Yeah, we, as Joe Nuxall used to say in the budget, we're rounding third and heading for home. Tonight, we're going to ask for approval and adoption of the budget. Tomorrow, we will file it with the county. We'll wait 10 days for a remonstrance period for any objections we might have to it. Barring objections, hopefully tonight we'll have a budget. So as we go forward, I ask tonight the Board of Trustees approve and sign the 2013 budgets as presented on Budgets Form 1 through 4, including the adoption of Budget Form 4, Resolution of Appropriations and Tax Rates.
Do I hear a motion to accept the budget adoption as presented? Pat Heine makes the motion, and Aaron Stevens seconds the motion. Are there comments and questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you. We also ask the Board of Trustees to adopt a 2013 through 15 capital projects plan fund as presented, and that the administration be given permission to publish the notice of adoption.
Do I have a motion? Linda Morgeson makes the motion. Jeff Slifer seconds the motion. Are there comments and questions on the capital projects plan adoption? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you. And we also ask the Board of Trustees to adopt the 2013 through 24 bus replacement plan as presented.
Do I have a motion? Dixie Robinson makes the motion. Aaron Stevens seconds the motion. Are there comments and questions?
I just want the public to know, just because they go quickly tonight doesn't mean it hasn't been an arduous process, because we've had to talk about these all along, and at this time there should be no surprises.
Right. We started this process back in June. We've had a budget meeting every 2 weeks since June. We've had a public hearing. We've gone over line item of the budgets and where we are. And Mr. Millis is right. With K through 8, we had no history, so we had to do a zero-based budget on every line item.
And this is all online, too. If anyone in the public would like to go back and take a look at it, we've talked about it at every board meeting since June, I believe, late June. So, okay, on to the...
We need to vote on that, don't we?
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is carried. Mr. Coddington?
Yes, 2 other things. Recommendation that the board approve a line 2 resolution. Again, this is on board docs and thing. What this allows is we put an 18-month budget together, and we've told you that we advertise high and it will be cut. When the state comes back on this 18-month budget, they will ask me to cut X amount of appropriations. And do I want to appropriate them out of the 2012 budget on appropriations that won't be spent, or out of the 2013 budget? This gives me permission to come that should I see that there are expenditures that we're not going to expend in 2012, I will eliminate those expenditures because we're not going to spend them, so we have the adequate appropriation for 2013. Therefore, the Board of Trustees, we're asked to approve budget 2013 budget, line 2 resolution, and grants the Richmond Community School Treasurer, Robert Coddington, the proper authority to reduce line 2 on Form 3 for the 2013 budgets.
Do I hear a motion? Dixie Robinson makes the motion, and Suzanne Darengowski seconds the motion. Are there any comments and questions on this? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
And finally, a tax neutrality resolution, as we've done since 2004, and we will do through 2019. We ask the Board Trustees to approve the tax neutrality resolution as presented.
Do I hear a motion? Linda Morgeson makes the motion, and Pat Heine seconds the motion. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We're on to the master plan.
I'm sure that much of the community is well aware that we've had quite a bit of changes over the last year, and our master plan was a part of that process. As we try to have continuous quality improvement in our school corporation, we want to come back and check and see how we're doing. And this evening, Mr. Connington and Mrs. Stewart would like to update us on where we're at in our process. So I'll turn it over to them.
If you'll notice on the chart on the screens, we have the 11-12 school year, and the numbers there reflect the October 1st numbers. On October 1st, our office always publishes a personnel report. We publish the personnel report. You don't get it till the end of October, but it is as of October 1st, the number of employees in each employee group. And for the 11-12 school year, we were at 814. And at this point in the 12-13 school year, now these numbers are as of September 6th. We'll be updating the personnel report for October 1st later. And we'll bring that back to a subsequent board meeting or distribute the reports to you. But at this point, we're down a total of 28 staff. If you'll look, 18 teachers, 3 administrators, 1 classified administrator, maintenance and central kitchen and support services, and classified professionals are the employee groups that remain the same number-wise. And Bob, you have percentages for those? I think you said. Okay.
That's 4.6% of the teacher workforce and 11.1% of the administrative staff. You know, this was all part of the master plan, and we, back in December, the board, and we all got together and we said, we've got a plan. We're going to close 3 buildings. We're going to make the plan better. We're going to have better educational opportunities for students, but we're also going to save money. And we knew the positions that we had targeted to be done. And we've got these numbers. So you want to say, that's nice, those are people, this is real. And what's good about these people, other than the environmental services, every person that's a minus on that staff left through retirement. So other than 8 people, and I feel for them, don't get me wrong, everyone that wanted to work for Richmond Community Schools this year that worked last year has a job. But now it's saying, this is it. How does that work financially? How does that turn into financial? So I took a master plan financial impact, a comparison of the first pay last school year and the first pay this school year. You remember last year we still had the Educational Jobs Fund that we were funding teachers out of, and our pay first pay was $25,688. A regular and we don't have that this year. We've got the teachers. They're down here, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So we've saved $25,000 there. Non-certified regular. Now you see the difference. She talks about environmental services, and this is the financial. This is how they're plugged in financially. Non-certified contract people, up $2,000. A lot of overtime. Do you remember? Let's be real honest. A lot of overtime to get school started. We had to open up the spigot and say we have to have these buildings ready. Let's get in there. So you see an uptick there. Non-certified administrator, you see a decrease. That's Mr. Robinson's position. Other non-certified, you see an uptick. That's overtime. Teachers before. Now the way they fund teacher retirement, that if you were hired before 1995, teacher retirement, the school system pays 3% into their retirement. If you're hired after 1995, we pay 10%. Now, the teacher retirement's no different. Of when you retire, you still get the same X amount of dollars. It's just how the fund is funded. So that becomes greater every year for the school system. So we target that and say, our teachers before, we're down almost $40,000. Why would that be?
Retirement.
Retirements. That's exactly right. And the one that I'm happiest about, and this is what shows it, you see the teachers hired after, that's bringing all of these people into this, and there's a little bit of an uptick. But if you net the two, we've saved money. Same way with administration. teachers, that retirements. We saved that much money. We had to backfill and replace some positions. The net on that is $8,000. Hourly employees and our paraprofessionals and some subs. So the line is, and let's be very clear, year over year, the first pay, we save $71,000. Would anybody like to multiply that times 26? Because other than the hourly, those are contracted positions, and we know what that'll cost us. That's a savings of $1,847,000. And that's within $7,000 of what we said we were going to save back in December. Now, we don't get a lot of an opportunity to pat ourselves on the back, but I'm going to take it. This is one of the few corporations that is disciplined enough to put a plan together, to execute it, and to stand up here the first day of the year, of the school year and say where we are. And that's because of the leadership of the board, the administration, the REA, the teachers, the environmental service staff. They're all making do with less. But we are going to have a balanced budget in 2012, and depending on Friday, we're going to have a balanced budget by law in 2013. I would entertain any questions.
Pat, I have an educational implication question. When we reduce teaching staff and increase hourly, I want to make sure that we aren't filling things and jobs that certified teachers would have done with that. I want to make sure that we can say to folks, your kids are getting the kind of education they need to be getting, and that we aren't only looking at money. While we're looking at money, I'm not negating that. I want to make sure we can say and promise that that education is
That has
still
never been
there.
a discussion in how to backfill any position. And the reason we saw that was up 2 people is purely a timing issue. When we get school together and we find out that we've got 2 students that need special needs and we need to get a pair or we need this, it's purely timing. Last year, we had 7 open positions for para to start the school year. We got those filled. We're just a snapshot in time. Where are we and what will it look like?
Other questions? Aaron?
I was looking at demographics. If we're not there yet, I can hold it.
Oh, the demographics are part of the personnel report that we have.
Yeah.
And we just don't have that information compiled for this year yet.
I just look at the fact that the disproportionate number of ethnic.
Believe me, I look at that too.
I know you do. I know you do, but it's really on this it stands out. And I'm thinking we have a population in this community of students who, like any other community, want to identify and be able to identify. I know that you did, I did when we were in school, certain teachers and everything that were inspiring, but you want to look at somebody when it comes to ethnic background so you can identify with them and, basically have more of a support or that connection with them. And I know that you, the administration, everybody have been trying for a long time when it comes to recruitment, replacement, and everything else. And in the back of my mind, the question still has to be, how can we make even this school corporation more attractive? We have heard already with the online school and some other things that are going on. We've got pieces of the puzzle that are so much in place. But what more can we do right now to make this more attractive to whether it be female or whether it be people of color or whatever ethnic category it may be in, to get them here so we can just make this more representative of the entire community.
Pat? Mr. Cuddington, following that line, because as I've gone into the elementary buildings, there are no men anymore since we took most of the 5th and 6th grade teachers out. That's where the men in the elementary building were, so it's the same thing. As I try to understand what the legislature has allowed us to do with the evaluation and compensation models for teachers, and there is that little piece that says maybe you can give more or bonus. Is there a provision in this new law that would allow us to consider such things that he's talking about, to attract people so that we can diversify the teaching population?
We would definitely need to work with REA and find out what's legal. We still have to bargain wages and benefits. We can't just individually bargain.
Sure. But we can then, as a board, say it's important that this happen and that we take that to the bargaining table. That's what I'm hearing you say. I mean, that a bargainable conversation.
If you're asking, can we give a higher salary to males in elementary school than females?
Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I'll tell you no.
Well, but
Good.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm trying to understand the law, and
I
not just
understand.
very specifically that, but is there a way to bargain an opportunity to diversify our teaching staff? That's all.
Not without legal counsel. I do want to add that the numbers you saw on the employee summary include openings that we have. We still have paraprofessional openings and one technology network administrator. So these numbers will definitely change when you see them next
When
end of
will we-
October, 1st of
Okay.
November. It takes us a while to compile it all.
I'm sure it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to our work session.
Our work session this evening will not be a lengthy work session unless we have a lot of questions, but at this point, we want to update the board on an important grant, Race to the Top grant. These have become available over the last few years from the federal government, and it's part of the incentive, part of our education programming that has been administered to us, I think, at the national level. These are federal grants, and in this case, it's a very large grant that we would like to apply for, and we have a couple of people that are working on that. Actually, there are quite a few of us that are looking at this. But it would be a very bold and challenging grant that could bring to Richmond Community Schools significant monetary benefit that could help us in doing a lot of reform packages. So tonight, Mrs. Hollis and Mrs. Parker, Dr. Parker, would like to kind of share where we're at on that, and then if you have questions, certainly go ahead.
Well, I'll just think all of you received a memo, but for the sake of the public that might not have seen the memo, I just want to give you a broad brushstroke, I guess, of what this entails. As Mr. Millis already stated, and I just want to remind us, Race to the Top grants are competitive incentive grants to adopt bold and comprehensive reform in elementary and secondary education. This year, the Department of Education is opening up Race to the Top at the district level. In the past, it's been directly to the states. And Indiana has not had the opportunity to be one of those states that have been awarded this grant. And as we looked at this opportunity, we're investigating and see if this would fit and meet the needs of our school district. But we also have heard you in the past and know that we don't want to just surprise you with these conversations, and so we wanted to give you heads up on what this might look like. As was stated in the memo, a successful applicant will provide teachers the information, tools, and supports that enable them to meet the needs of each student and substantially accelerate and deepen each student's learning. We have the big key word that is being introduced through this entire process is that personalized learning environment of our student and the connections that they need to be successful. College and career readiness is a tremendous focus to this grant as well. And we are in a great place as a district. When you look at the requirements that are required for us, By 2014-15, having a superintendent evaluation, having a teacher evaluation, principals evaluation in place. I mean, you as a board have really driven this district to meet that before even the grant is saying that we need to meet it. In addition to that, the state of Indiana has worked aggressively and has put into place those college and career readiness standards for us as well. So, I mean, we are in a position of success, and we've had great success with Safe Schools, Healthy Students. The community partnerships that are in place, that is a big component of this grant as well. This grant is saying it can't happen alone with just the school and the teachers' involvement. We also need the parent involvement and other community supports to be in place. So that really is where we're at. We are looking and identifying the areas that we believe that can still be improved on and focused on in our school district, and we'll have further conversations with people in our district and in our community. The hope is that at your next board meeting there will be at least an outline of what we're looking at that will engage you on where we're at in the process. And do you have anything you'd like to add?
Do any board members have questions that they would like to ask, or should we wait to ask them at the, Dixie has a question. I'll go ahead, Dixie. Thank you.
Is this going to be for the grant, the way it will be written? Is that for the whole district, or is it going to be for parts?
That's a part of what we still need to determine. It can be written K to 12, but I think initial conversations have been focused on the 5 to 12, more of a secondary focus. We look at our K to 4 buildings, and we see those as being foundational learning buildings. The grant really asks for us to look at individualized learning and to build capacity for students to lead their own learning. And it's very bold because it asks you to look at time as a variable as well. So not having a lockstep moving through a curriculum at a set pace. If students can be accelerated, they can be accelerated. If they need more time, they can have more time. And allowing students to demonstrate mastery multiple times and in multiple ways. So it really changes the concept of education as we know it if we think outside the box.
It's a very intense timeline. I mean, we really were introduced to this probably about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And as you see in the memo as well, the timeline is that October 30th is when the application is due. So it's a very intense timeline, and the area that we would be looking at could get us up to $10 million in a 4-year period of time. And equate that to Safe Schools, Healthy Students, that's $6 million in a 4-year period of time. So it's significant dollars that would be generated back into our district and back into our community as well. But again, we're just still in that investigation phase, and
how many of those will they award? How many of these grants?
Very good question. The max would be 25, so that's very, very competitive.
Across the country?
Nationwide, that's correct. Mm-hmm. And they've done a good job at separating, they will be separating the applicants based on districts that are in a state that have received Race to the Top dollars before, and those districts that have not, in rural and non-rural too setting. So they're trying to make it as fair as possible across the board. But again, I do feel good about building on Safe Schools, Healthy Students and the success that we have had, and where it has led us into this opportunity to be ready for this great opportunity for the grant.
As I have read and thought about it and talked with you about it, technology is a huge part of this, correct? And when you talk about, I mean, one of the things that's been exciting about Safe School Healthy Students for me is how we have connected with our partners through technology. So we have students whose records go to Communities in Schools or Boys and Girls Club and vice versa, so that we have partners who are connected to us through technology. Is that part of what you're saying an advantage is, or is it,
That
what
would
we've-
be because they want that real-time, ready access data that parents can access, teachers can access with their student. And yes, it has been critical, very critical, when we look at that relationship with communities and schools. If they have students that are at level 2 and they are working one-on-one with a student, they need to know, have we really had the impact we think we've had when it comes to that grades component, attendance component, and behavior. And to be able to, with the parent's permission, be able to pass that information back to their system, their data management system, and they can issue reports back to us. It's been a very real-time access and improvement for us to be able to know that success for the student.
I have one other quick question. Okay, Pat. This is really not a question, but I want part of what we do is help public understand some of this. When people tell me, well, why are they wasting their time writing this grant? You're only one, you have a 1 in a million chance. What I have learned through the Safe School, Healthy Student process is that was the best thinking. It was best practices. And even if we didn't have all that money, we should have been doing some of that anyway. So what we are creating, I would assume, by what you're writing and researching, is the ideal program that we then at some point, if we don't get this grant, ought to look at and figure out if that could be priorities for some of our funding, because we have to make choices about all of that. So for the public who said, well, they're just out there wasting their time writing this thing, no, that's not true. We're taking the best practices of what should be happening and trying to then find a way to do it. I think that's an exciting part of this, and so I support that. I know it's a lot of work, because I remember the writing of the Safe School, Healthy Student at that particular time. It really is a lot of work, but it was important work, even if we didn't get the money.
Yeah, and we had that very conversation today. Who are the major players that need to be a part of this conversation, and compiling that list to get the stakeholders together, and including some board members if you want to participate, and asking the question that we asked 8.5 years ago when we started talking about opening a preschool. If money were no object, what would the perfect secondary school experience have in it? What would it look like? Starting there and building that vision, and then building the goals and the performance measures around that, and then building strategies to get us where we want to be.
Yeah. Dixie will volunteer, I'm sure.
Did you have a question, Dixie?
Well, I had a couple. Does this grant have, like, in-kind matching funds, in-kind services, all that kind of thing?
None. No matching.
Wow. And then once it's written, because I don't know what you're writing it for, but will we, now that we have narrowed our bill, we've downsized, will we have the capacity to do whatever we put in the grant?
Well, the grant will fund everything that we put in the grant. There is no requirement for any matching dollars or any in-kind dollars. And although I haven't, we haven't even started to talk about a budget, I suspect if $10 million is available, we'll ask for $10 million. I suspect.
Jeff?
Race to the Top has been in the news for quite some time, and you hear some positive things about it, and you hear some negative things about it. I guess, what are the negatives? What are things that we have to watch out for?
Well, with any grant, the biggest downfall is eventually it ends. That's what we fight with every grant. And so then you're weighing, are we better off to not ever take the money and not have those services at all, or have the services and try to build sustainability in, as we've been able to do with the Safe Schools Healthy Students grant? It's a balancing act, and normally we say yes, it's better even if we can't sustain it to have those services in place for a little while.
Suzanne?
My question is similar to Jeff's, but what are the strings? Are there strings attached that we need to worry about?
No, there are no strings. In fact, as Missy said, most of the requirements in the grant are things that the DOE has already required us to do. The core priority, or the priority of the grant, the first one is that we adopt an evaluation system that evaluates our teachers, our principals, and our superintendents in the way that we are getting ready to do it. And we're required to have adopted career and college-ready standards, which we've done through the Common Core state standards. So we have already got those things in place, so we wouldn't need to do anything there. We are required to adopt at least or even higher our state's performance standards for graduation rate and passing of ISTEP and ECAs. So all of those things the state has set for us. Now, that doesn't mean we can't set our goal higher than that, but the goals are the same. And then we add our own performance measures. One of the really exciting things about the grant is that there's a scoring rubric, and we can get 10 extra points by building our community partners into the grant. And there will be a lot of communities, really hustling to make that happen. And we have our partners on board. They're ready to go. So, we have partners in place to address the mental health needs of our students, the social emotional needs of our students, which is that 10-point extra.
The only thing I would add is within the matrix or the scoring rubric that Dr. Parker mentioned, there is a component of us addressing sustainability early on too. And so I think us just being aware of that, just like we have been with Safe Schools, Healthy Students, it will be critical as we outline the grant, if we move forward and if we outline that in the grant.
Pat, did you have another
Well,
question?
so does that mean that we can prove that we're serious about sustainability by this master plan, which says, is there a space to say, look, we've already done this with one grant?
That's another part of the scoring rubric is the demonstration of past success.
Well, we got 2 up.
Looks like you're volunteering too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Of course I am. Anything to do with anybody over 5. No, seriously, that's my passion.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think it's pretty exciting.
Now it's time to move on to our press conference. Does anyone out there have any questions? Brian? Okay, on to consent items.
This evening's consent items include approval of minutes for last meeting, human resources recommendations, the Galileo Charter School Support Services, and Title III non-English speaking program grant applications. Just briefly, Mr. Coddington, the Charter School Support Services, would you just briefly give overview so we know what we're approving?
It's very similar to what we've done the last 2 years. We provide the food services for Galileo schools. For the last 3 years, we've had in there also a provision for maintenance and custodial. Those have not been accessed for 3 years, and we took them out this year. There's no competitive advantage with the food service. It's a service we provide for them to make sure the students are healthy, and we ask that we do it another year.
Thank you.
I would like to.
Sorry, Jeff?
I would like to request, there's a change in status, so I would like to have that maybe.
Under human resources?
That should actually be pulled out.
So.
Separately.
Okay.
Please.
The consent items include an approval of minutes from the last meeting, the Galileo Charter School Support Services, and the Title III and non-English speaking program grant applications. Do I hear a motion to accept those items as presented?
So moved.
Pat Heine makes the motion and Aaron Stevens seconds the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And now we pulled out human resources and we'll vote on it separately. Do I have a motion to accept the human resources as presented? Linda makes the motion and Pat seconds the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
So the motion is carried with 6 board members voting for and Jeff Slifer abstaining.
Because we could have just pulled that one piece out if you wanted to, but that's fine.
On to public commentary.
We don't have anyone else.
Is there anyone who would like to speak? follow up on old business, and under that, we have teacher appreciation. And we've talked before, we thanked the teachers publicly for the big move that, and all of the work that they did throughout the summer, nights, weekends, and so forth. But some board members have brought up the fact that we would like to do something else to show them our appreciation. So I was wondering if any board members have any thoughts on this.
Are you just talking about teachers or everybody?
Well, we originally talked about teachers. Paraprofessionals did a nice job of helping the teachers, so they ought to be thanked also, I would think.
Custodian.
Yeah.
I mean, almost everybody.
Pretty much everyone.
Do you have any thoughts?
I think some kind
Family
of
members.
public recognition, I don't know how, in the paper or something for all the things that they did and the hours they put in. That suggested.
Aaron?
This had a huge impact on the community, not just Richmond Community Schools, but the community. And with a person sitting at this table who wears another hat, I think it would also be nice if we could have a presentation before City Council and maybe a resolution from the mayor honoring, all those employees who have spent all the diligent time to make this happen.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's 2 ideas.
Aaron's for you to go home.
I'm leaving.
Kelly, could we also, I know it's a gesture, but could we also craft maybe a letter to the editor from the board, perhaps?
Okay.
I think that would be very appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Pat, maybe instead just, sometimes a guest opinion has a bigger, bolder spot.
That's even better.
And
That's even better.
write a guest opinion from the board. Yeah. Well, as publicly as possible, I think you're absolutely right, Dixie.
Okay.
I'd like to know, though, from Mr. Mays, how many boxes were moved? I mean, it would be just kind of fun to have some fun facts. How many tons of things, how many desks, how many, because I'm not sure the public really understands the magnitude
Well, I heard,
of that effort.
Didn't you say all but like 8 teachers had to move their stuff from K to 8, I think, or something like that? I'm thinking.
Bob might know how many boxes he bought.
I could find that out.
But they also bring their own. They use every paper box that.
I think Elisa had those numbers at one time, but because we had people that moved buildings, but we also had a lot of people that moved within their building.
I did have building moves, but I did not have numbers for within the building.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a way we can get
Maybe
those
we could do a
numbers.
quick collection of that information and sort of share it out in the column, saying, these many people moved, this many people participated, because we also had family members and retired librarians and school board members and administrators all out there. So I think it'd be kind of fun. Each building could probably give us an idea of all that went into that. Pat?
Well, the point is, sometimes a general thank you doesn't mean as much as some very specific facts and figures that would demonstrate the very clear-cut amount of work that it
I'll
that it
put
took.
all of those ideas together and email everyone so they can add to the suggestions. Linda?
Well, and even if a teacher or staff member didn't participate in moving, they do so much at the beginning of the school year to welcome our students. And I know that this year I have the opportunity to be supervising a couple of student teachers that are from IU East, and they were absolutely thrilled that they got to see the beginning of school but they were also amazed and overwhelmed at everything it takes to get ready for the beginning of school.
Well, this might have been a little bit of an unusual year for them to observe.
But
Yeah.
Other comments and questions? Go ahead.
So we're leaving it to Misty to come up with the proclamation and the resolution?
Well, I'll put all these ideas together, and then if there's someone who, a couple of us board members and Misty, who would like to sit down and write this.
Aaron and Dixie are very good.
Yes, that would be good. Aaron,
That was Aaron's
thank
idea.
you for
Yep.
volunteering, and Dixie too.
Put yourself in the column. Well, thank you too.
I guess I could say this under follow-up on old business, or it could go in the next portion, but I would like to get on the agenda for the next time, and I'll send Dr. Borf a note since he's not here. I would like to review the policy, the new policies on class size, and since we're having our ADM count, it would probably be a good time, that we can break down the numbers of in each class and see where we stand at each school.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Good question.
I wanted to ask a question too on when we do lotteries again, if it could be done by family instead of individual.
What do you think about
Would that
that?
be possible?
Well, actually, we're through the process of the lotteries. We're now utilizing, is it 5120, the transfer policy that that was approved by the board. So we've really done a pretty good job of balancing, but we still have some requests and people move, so it opens up slots. So we've dealt with some of those. We can't satisfy all those needs.
Yeah, there's still some split families.
Yeah, and going into next year, maybe we can change that so that doesn't happen. I know that's been a concern all the way through, and I know this first year it's been hard, but it might be easier.
Well, that's why we need to review the policy to, now that it's been used one year, we need to know where the shortcomings are and.
With actual data.
Exactly, exactly.
Good.
Right.
Linda?
I'm changing topics here, so,
Okay.
for old business, but, I guess I need to direct this to Mrs. Bergdahl, because I have, we've gotten word, a couple times about the large amount of students with health needs and who are diabetics and, so on and so forth. And I was just wondering, it seems as though that it's been somewhat overwhelming for some of the staff who care for these students. And I just want to make sure that we're able to meet the student needs and that we are giving the appropriate amount of help to those people who are caring for those students. So if you could, if you're not prepared tonight to address it,
Yeah.
if you could address that at some point.
We I guess we have revised some of our building assignments for our nurses because we're overwhelmed with the fact that we're seeing a high number of diabetics and also other high-risk health issues with our young students and at the intermediate level and also at the high school. But I met with Dr. Borf this morning and we discussed how we could assist possibly the intermediate buildings. They seem to be having the most concerns, possibly with 5th and 6th graders coming down more to the office than maybe 7th and 8th graders in the past, but just also dealing with you, like you said, the diabetic needs. So we're coming up with a revised schedule to kind of reassign some of our nurses and also see how we can maybe assist even our nurses in some areas. So we do have a plan that we're trying to work on. So we could bring something back to you maybe the next time.
Right. Well, and I know that sometimes the nurses can't be there, and so
Right.
we have to have staff in
Right.
place. And
That's what we've tried to do. We actually have taken our LPN nurse from the high school and shared him most of the time at test, because we have some diabetic needs there, and you know, they just need it at different times of the day, and it just seems like we have the diabetic needs at the different buildings are all at those same times, either like a morning check, always at lunch, and maybe before you get on the bus. So, you know, my nurses can't be everywhere at the
so
same
if
time.
the nurse is not there, who takes care of those specific needs?
Well, what we're trying to do, instead of a nurse being at a building either all day, they're trying to travel between 3 buildings.
So if they're not there, who takes care of the needs
We're
of the...
trying to train some other staff members if we can, but we're really trying to assist as much as we can with the nurse.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything else before we move on to superintendent and board reports, reflections, and celebrations? Does anyone have any reports, reflections, or celebrations? Okay, a review of the tentative meeting agenda.
Reviewing I guess we will have a business meeting on the 26th, and the tentative agenda will be some items that include Richmond High School, Indiana University East Marketing Your Success Partnership, the enrollment ADM financial implications, so we will have those numbers and be able to report to the board. The Dennis Gymnasium bids, which we're all hopeful will be very good. We'll have those. And our consent items, which will include a summary and some insights on summer school from this past summer and some other things.
Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you for the meeting.